Good afternoon. I'm Cary and this is the Action Drug Hour here on KHTS, your local hometown station. Glad to be here. My guest, Brandon. I know Brandon for a long time. We're going to come back to you in a minute, and your dad, Arturo. And just a little bit about why I asked you to come on. You've been in our group now for what, 2 years plus?
Yeah, actually like four.
About 4 years plus, and you're clean and sober for quite a while. But it was hell for you to get there. I mean, you went from drugs and alcohol to a dark place to suicidal thoughts, and you actually even wrote a letter, didn't you?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into that in a little bit, but in the meantime, just wanted to introduce you too. So you might want to not go anywhere. Also, I want to introduce Robbie Robinson. He is my co-host today, and Robbie Robinson is. And you introduce yourself and what you do,
Yes, good
but
morning.
into the mic, buddy.
Right here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Robbie Robinson. I'm a intervention specialist with the Sheriff's Department, civilian investigator, and I'm here with Cary Quashen, a great man, and I just want to just be able to allow him to talk to Brandon and I believe his father. So I'm just really happy to be here.
Yeah, as Brandon's father's going out right now to get this letter that I want read because I want people to know how bad addiction is and
Yes.
what we have to go through before we get to that other part. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But also, I'm going to say this from now on in every show we do and everywhere I go. Halloween's coming. We don't want your kids to. We want them to enjoy the holidays and festivals and all that stuff. But please start talking to your kids now about drugs and candy and what could happen. And we want to make sure that any candy that they have is sealed, wrapped
Right.
from a store. Don't
Right.
eat any baked goods or any of that kind of stuff because of the gummy bears and the THC that's out there and the fentanyl poisoning. Don't take Halloween away, but just be extra careful. We've been on fire here in Santa Clarita, though, haven't we,
Oh
Robbie?
yes, oh yes. There have been instances of kids and even adults using have been using fentanyl. I've been dealing with some kids right now who have been using drugs, and the parents are fighting for the kids. And then again, like you said, as we've been talking, a lot of them are unaware of what's really going on, and they are just like, "Oh, it's no big thing," but it is a big thing because
Well, let's
there's
let's let's
death.
let's tell them what's going on then.
Oh
While we're
yes,
waiting for Brandon's dad, and again, let's tell them what's going on right now. I'll tell you what's going on. Robbie, jump in if you want.
sure,
We're in the midst of, I think, the biggest pandemic we've ever been
correct,
into before. I mean,
correct.
yes, COVID's a pandemic and all that, but we have vaccines for that. There's no vaccine for what's going on right now.
Right.
I mean, we know right now that fentanyl overdoses, accidental overdoses, poisoning is killing more people in this country than anything else combined right now. Over 100,000 deaths, and that's just accidental stuff.
Right.
That's not including the arrests, the suicides, and everything else that comes with drugs right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're in a crisis, and we really need to be educating and talking a lot to our children, and we need to educate educators and everything else. That's why what you guys are doing at the share station is so
This,
important to keep this city
well,
safe.
the sheriffs are fighting they're fighting a battle. They know that people need assistance with drug abuse, and also we have to deal with a lot of these people who are dealers, and they're not like years ago when I was working gangs, and when I was a gang officer, where you see everybody on the street. Most of it is online, TikTok, all these social media, so they can hide behind that. But what's happening now, I saw a video recently of a dealer who said, the dealer said, I would rather sell to kids and parent people who have money because I know I'll have a constant supply. So it's not just like it is a street drug, but these dealers are making tons of money, and they should pay the penalty for selling drugs because, as we know, just one tab of fentanyl or whatever can kill you instantly. Kill
Mm-hmm.
you instantly. And what's happening now, parents are beginning to see it. and they have to get involved. I have a thing here, not now. I'll
You know,
read
it's
it
just
later.
it's just mushrooming now too.
Yes, very
The
much
school's
so.
just back in. There's already been some crises when it comes to fentanyl,
Right.
and it's not going to do anything but get worse. So we need to stay on target. Great thing is, and I want to get to Brandon and Arturo,
Sure.
but the great thing right now is people are paying attention. All
Right.
of a sudden, there's education in all the schools right now.
Yes.
Narcan is going to show
Yes.
up in all the schools. So everything that, I mean, everybody's jumping on this right now. I mean, it's we're not going to arrest our way out of it. We're not going to talk our way out of it, but we need to hold people accountable that are
That's
dealing.
right.
We need to educate. We need to do all. It's a whole ball. It's a whole different ball game now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, anyways, Brandon, Arturo,
How you doing? Yes, how are you?
man, I love seeing you guys. I do, because we deal with so many tragedies, but what people don't hear a lot about is the successes. So I'm going to start with Arturo.
Okay.
I want you to you brought Brandon to us about 4 years ago. So if you can grab that mic and tell us what was going on and how you ended up in Action.
Well, he got caught in school.
Talk about that.
So he got caught in school selling drugs. Then he said he was holding it for himself. And so they sent us to the Tide program. And the first day there, you kind of wonder, is this a ongoing thing? Because I picked him up from football games before, and him
Right.
and his little friend are giggling, and you throw it off as, oh, he's trying it, they're having fun. Okay, fine.
Right. And you've been in group now for 4 years, that almost everyone that gets caught, here's what their first thought is when they come to our group, is I don't know if I want my kid in that room with those kids. Yes, we get all the cool kids in Santa Clarita that's made mistakes, but the peer pressure is different there. All of a sudden, it's anti-drugs. It's the same kids that they like to hang out with, but instead of using drugs, now they're all getting clean. And they're confronting themselves on behavior. So this is exactly where you really do want your kid. But go
Right.
on.
So we show up on that first day. It's the parent teen on Tuesdays.
That must have been scary.
It was scary standing up, speaking to everybody, and telling them your story because it's your first time there. But you stand up, and everything's the first time,
Right.
right? It was the first time he did this. But at the end of that meeting, when all the kids that were sent there from their school and they stand up, and you're asking them questions, and you point blank asked them, "How long have you been using?" "Oh, a year and a half."
Isn't that crazy? Because
That was
they always tell the truth when you
Yeah.
flat out ask them like that.
And it was one of those, oh, okay, so I'm coming back every Tuesday with him. That's, he's going to need help. He's going to say, I'm going to stop for a while, and he did. But I continued to take him because, like anything, anybody that has an addiction.
And just like you said, parents want to believe that.
Yeah.
We have a program that's called Tide. It's actually the school's program. If somebody gets caught using drugs in Santa Clarita in the school district, the parents have to come to Action once in the evening, which is on a Tuesday evening. It's free for anyone here, and the kids have to come. Then we have intense counseling for 2 days at Action's corporate office about drugs and alcohol. But it's almost crazy. We can have 15 new parents, and 15 new parents will be in some way in denial. They don't want to hear it. They want to believe that it was their first time their kid used. Joey was walking down the street, a bong fell into their hands and said, "Smoke me," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but usually they've been using for six months to 18 months. So,
Yeah, so I just continued to take them because anybody that has been using for so long doesn't just quit.
right.
And there's going to be a fall, a misstep, or something like that, or he's just going to lie to himself and continue to do it and just hide it better.
But parents want to believe
Right.
it was the first time. My kid said he'll never do it again. They want to believe that. They want to grab onto that. I wonder. I was going to say what the reason is, but I know what the reason is. First of all, they don't want to think their kid is like all the other kids, and second of all, they don't want to deal with it. If they don't think about it, it goes away.
It would have been easy to stop. once he stopped, said I'm clean, I'm not using anymore. But I don't know, for some reason I decided to keep on taking them, and was the best decision I could have made.
Right.
Even though it took away the Tuesdays from me, and I had to get home from work and pick them up and take them, and it was just one of those decisions that I didn't. There was no thought to it. I just felt right to keep on going, and
That's right.
it was just it worked out for me.
You know, I've been running these groups now for, gosh, almost 40 years. And almost everybody, and you've been there 4 years, so tell me if I'm wrong. Almost everybody that comes to that group or those kind of groups weekly turn into successes.
Yes,
And there,
They do.
no, really,
they
is
did.
it
No,
true?
It's true.
Almost every one of them. The kids get better and the parents do better and there's no more drugs. Almost everybody who gets ordered to those groups that decides not to come back end up back in crisis. Is that true?
It's true.
So my suggestion is get involved in something positive for your children. So
So we kind of hit the pandemic time, and he started to spiral. He was drinking. I think he was doing Adderall now because he could get it because he had a prescription.
right.
And we kind of fell off the rails there. We ended up in intensive outpatient, and along that journey, the suicidal thoughts came along. 72-hour holds came along, and we were finally able to get him into a rehab.
This wasn't an easy journey, was it?
No.
For neither of you. We're going to hear his story, but that kind of a journey for a dad. So
I think that
he's drinking, he's using. There's psych holds, there's rehabs, there's
Yeah.
outpatients, disappointments, heartaches. How did you deal with all that?
at that point, it was just about helping him and trying to get him help. I didn't think about myself. I didn't think about what other people thought. It was about getting him help at that point. I didn't. The worst thing I could hear
So
was
you were on cruise control.
I was just I got to make sure he's okay. I think where it really hit home was when I took him to the 72-hour-old in the ER, and he's telling them, well, have you tried to commit suicide before? And he's talking, and he's like, yes, what happened? The rope broke. And I can't be emotional at that point, right?
Yeah.
I am just listening, and on the inside, I was just torn, and it was tough.
Yeah.
But I knew from that point he needs help. We need to get him to rehab. I need to push, and I did. We pushed, and with the help of JC.
Yeah, and heck, I mean, it's your kid. You love him. You don't want
Yeah.
to see him hurt like that.
Right.
The pain is terrible. For us as parents to watch our kids go through any kind of pain is freaking horrible. You know? So, okay, so tell us your story, Brandon.
Alright, so just like a little backstory. Drugs have been a part of my life for a long time. Like, even when I wasn't doing them, I knew a bunch of people that were. My cousins did them, family members. Anyway, so I started using when I was like 14.
You were walking down the street, you looked up
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
sky,
yeah.
and a bong fell in your hands. Smoking.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Actually, no. So, I had a buddy. His dad smoked weed. He locked it up. When he'd go to sleep, we'd steal his keys. We'd go and get it.
Are you listening, parents? You
And
know that almost every kid that I talk to when they're young, and I say, "Where do you get it?" That's what they tell me. I steal it from my mom or my dad. I get it from the liquor cabinet. My dad, I know where his weed is. I hear it all the freaking time. Go on.
yeah. So we'd go steal his stuff, and it was pretty easy. I mean, he sleep, we smoke, and
Do you remember the first time you got high?
yeah,
Do you really?
Yeah.
What was it like? What was going through your head?
it was like, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life, and nobody's gonna stop me.
Before that thought, before you felt the high.
Before I felt
right?
the high,
When your friend said, "Let's get it, let's steal it, let's smoke it."
probably something along the lines of like, well, I never like wanted to do drugs, but I didn't want to like not do them either. Like, it always seemed like an experience to me,
Right.
like something you kind of had to do.
Okay. That's because you've seen it around.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Okay. So
But
go on.
yeah, so after that, I was off and running. Like I was smoking for like 6 months straight
So you
before my
so,
buddy
so
left.
you smoked
Yeah,
it that first time and fell in love, is what
yeah,
you're saying.
exactly.
Okay.
I was off and running. I stopped for like 3 months because my buddy moved away, so I didn't have anywhere to get weed, and I didn't have any money. So then, right around junior year, I started up again. I was getting lunch money from my dad, my mom, like to go like off campus and eat or whatever,
Hmm.
and I just used it to go get high.
Parents, you listening? So you all put your lunch money together and you'd buy it.
Yeah, I would have like 3 days worth of lunch money,
Uh-huh.
and then I'd go buy it.
Okay. I was always wondering where they get it, huh, Robbie?
Yeah.
Now we know.
Sorry, Pop.
That's why they say that lunch is horrible at school. That's why they say it on purpose, so they get cash.
Ah, so I see.
Well, it does suck, but I'm just saying. But yeah, I'd use it to go pick up. It really wasn't like I didn't think I was stealing. Really, I thought, oh well, he's gonna give it to me anyway. I'm just gonna spend it a different way.
Hmm.
But after that, like I can't ask pops for lunch money every day, so it became a like, okay, I have a little bit like left over that I wasn't gonna smoke yet, so let's just sell that. So like it became like the like best moment for me. I was like, I'm gonna be like the biggest drug dealer ever.
So you went from this feels really good to, wow, if I sell it, I have power.
Yeah,
I feel powerful.
Yeah.
I feel like a gangster.
yeah,
Okay. I got it.
yeah. I was like, I'm gonna be the best drug dealer ever. Didn't turn out that way. I got caught like my second freaking when I was trying to sell something at school.
So you're not a real good criminal, are you?
I'm a terrible criminal.
You're not a big time. You never made it to big
I
time
never
drug
made it
dealer.
to big time.
That's actually great, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I got caught. Someone told like them where I was. I guess they had like seen me the first time or whatever. But someone told them where I was. I came out high, and I got sent to Tide.
Robbie, you're smiling.
Yeah, because years ago, when I was a probation officer, I was a gang officer, 35 years, you would have got locked up. The laws have changed now. First time people who were selling, you usually would go maybe to camp for 3 months. If you continued, you went for 6. You continued on, you went to fire camp. And because all of us know that when you're selling, you start doing other stuff. You get involved in other stuff, not just selling. You're around that crowd that is into, I'm going to do what I want to do and nobody's going to do nothing to me.
Right.
But now the law, as we know, has changed. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to be locked up who does it, but there has to be consequences.
Absolutely.
And so the consequences needs to be as strong as the intervention and rehabilitation. So I'm totally 100% for intervention, prevention, but the consequences, you should have went to fire camp. You should have been picking up stuff in the street, fighting fires. You'd have thought about it. You'd have been like, you know what? I'm not doing this to my dad. I'm not doing this to my mom.
Yeah, everything's changed now.
Yes.
Because when do people change? People change when they have to. When the consequences of what they're doing outweighs the fun or payoff they think they're going to have. Until then, there's no reason for people to stop. Used to be, if you don't go to rehab, you go to jail. That's not there anymore.
No, it's not there.
So it's a lot harder to get people to want to go to rehab now, because it's just where we are as a whole right now.
And I want you to go on, but even there was a song out from Amy Winehouse, I don't want to go to rehab. No, no, no. Why did she say that? Because she knew when she was saying it, it implies that there were consequences. If she went to rehab, she had to do the steps in order to get clean. And a lot of people don't want to get clean until they have just run the gamut.
Until their game's over.
That's it.
But talk about Amy and that song. Where is she now?
There you go.
She died from an overdose.
Overdose.
That's crazy.
No, it's not.
Truth.
It's not crazy. It's where it's. I'm telling you, with what's going on today, in this world, It's get clean or die.
That's right.
You cannot use the drugs that are out there today and survive long. That fentanyl is in freaking everything. If you look at the overdoses that hit the media, it isn't fentanyl. It's fentanyl that's killing them, but it's not what they took.
That's right.
They took a Percocet. Those 3 girls that didn't die, but they overdosed in Santa Monica was ecstasy pills cut with fentanyl.
Yes.
The comedians, cocaine cut with fentanyl. It's in everything. So it's get clean or die today, man. It's not a joke. You went from A to Z fast.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you went from having a good time to wanting to be this big time drug dealer to getting caught to having all kinds of problems, the hospitals, psych wards, institutions, and all kinds of stuff. You actually even wrote a letter.
Yeah.
So we're going to hear, I want you to read the first paragraph of the letter, and then when we come back from break, we're going to go into it. You have the
Alright.
letter.
Let's see. It's not even a paragraph. It's like a little section.
Well, read the first section, and when we come back, we're going to.
I think I wrote this high. I'm pretty sure. But all right, so I wrote, people don't know what pain is. They look and stare at me.
That's
Ask
enough.
how- no,
That's
for
enough.
sure.
Because we're going to tell them what pain is when we come back from break. Right?
Yeah.
All right. This is the Action Drug Rehab Hour on KHTS. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Action Drug Hour here on KHTS 98.1 and AM 1220, your local hometown station. I'm Cary Question. I'm your host. I got Robbie Robinson with me today. He's my co-host. And we got Brandon and Arturo. And before we went on break, we were actually talking about how it went from A to Z so fast.
Yeah.
Meaning you went from getting high to like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever, to I'm going to be this big time drug dealer, to getting caught, to not having so much fun anymore.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So after I got caught, I was at Action for a little bit. I think I got like 9 months clean. Like my first go around, just proving to everybody and lying to myself that like I didn't need help. I was fine. Y'all are the problem.
But you did keep coming. And
Yeah,
you did
yeah.
stay sober for 9 months.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to sidetrack for a
Yeah.
minute. It's hard. How old were you?
I was 16.
So you got a 16-year-old kid that was getting high. My guess is you surrounded yourself by people who were getting high at school.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to stay sober, but you're going to school with all the same people.
Yeah.
The peer pressure is terrible, isn't it?
I didn't really mind it too much, more so because like in my head it was like if I wanted to do it, I would do it. I just don't feel like doing it.
Okay, so you convinced yourself you didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What happened?
Yeah, so it was like I think it was one day I had like just gotten a girlfriend. Like I was in like what, I think IOP at that time, right? Something like that.
Not yet.
Not yet. I had just gotten a girlfriend, like first girlfriend ever, and like I was gonna marry this girl, and I dated her for like 3 weeks.
What parents need to understand too, I want to take a second in there. When a child falls in love and they said, I'm in love, and parents go, it's just lust, it's just this, is no, they're in love on steroids. Their feelings, they're not used to those kind of feelings in those kind of in-depth kind of way. So it's a powerful place and a dangerous place.
Oh yeah.
So don't discount it from your child. Go on.
Yeah, I dated this girl for like 3 weeks. We broke up, and like that just sent me down. Like,
Devastated.
yeah, I was devastated. Like I'd never felt something like that in my life. So like my initial instinct was I'm gonna go get loaded, and that's exactly what I did. But this time I was like, smoking's the problem. I'm gonna just go drink, and I don't even like drinking, but I would do it. Like it was like every weekend, then every night, every day at school, after school, during class, whenever I could. It didn't matter to me anymore.
And you were 16.
I was like 16, yeah.
And you were watching this? Or you didn't know yet?
Oh, I didn't even know.
Okay. And then what happened?
After that, I tried to take...
Because you hit a brick wall
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. So around this time somewhere, my timeline is foggy. I got sent to IOP, and I ended up.
which is intensive
Yeah.
outpatient.
Yeah, so he ended up calling me one day at work. He was at school, and he was panicked. Like he didn't. He's like, I don't think I want to be here anymore in life. And so I left, picked him up, drove straight to your office, and I need to talk to somebody, and that's how we got the ball rolling
Gotcha.
and got him into
Okay,
IOP
cool. I don't
because
remember
of that incident.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a pretty scary.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a pretty scary place for
I
both
don't
of
even
you.
remember that.
It must have been frightening for you too to feel like I don't want to live anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
don't
you-
remember that day, but I've felt like that before. Yeah.
I do.
And let's face it, that people in general don't want to die. They just don't want to hurt. They don't want that feeling anymore because they don't know how to deal with it. Especially when it comes to adolescence, those feelings are so overwhelming and new that they don't know how to deal with them. So suicide becomes a thought, but it's also a permanent solution to something temporary. Everything can get better. So you were feeling really bad.
Yeah.
You want to read this to us now?
All right. So people don't know what pain is. They look and stare at me. They ask how I got them. They tell me I will heal. Gashes and wounds while the darkness looms. Cuts and bruises while the good side loses. They are something that can't go away. They can't heal. While people are stuck looking at stars, I get torment, wounds, and scars.
That's pretty heavy, dude. Do you remember writing that?
Yeah, I remember I'd just gotten high at the bathroom at school. And then I remember sitting down to write this and then going about my day.
So I don't want to push it into you, but tell people how a 16-year-old feels that wants to die.
I mean, kind of how you'd expect. It's every day you wake up and it's like everything's moving in slow motion. You're just kind of going through the motions. And it doesn't feel real anymore. It just doesn't feel like something you're supposed to be doing. And the best solution that I had for that was just to take my life.
Thank God you didn't.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, it's like I said, nobody really wants to die. They just don't want to hurt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they don't know how to escape the pain.
Oh yeah.
In a way, you could do it, but it's just so tough that you can't figure out how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
How'd you get the note? You've been holding on to it. How are you?
So I found that he actually, I think he was probably 14 or 15 when he wrote that.
Okay.
And I found it lying around. And then, you bring it up, you read it, and this is some heavy stuff. You show it to your significant other. No, he's fine. Or, kind of, for some reason, there's some excuse that it was, he's just,
Right.
writing a poem or something. I said, okay. And you don't really go through, yeah. And so I saw it, and I had shown it to him one time. He's like, where'd you get this from? I said, well, I found it. And he's like, oh, it's mine. I said, no, I'm keeping this. This is mine. Because he wanted to throw it away. I'm saying, no, this is mine. I'm keeping it.
Right.
And so I've held on to it. And, hindsight again, I see that now. We're going to go have a talk with somebody and, kind of work through it.
Right.
But I think as parents, at that moment, we're not thinking that way because everything is all perfect.
Yeah.
We see things as perfect, which they aren't. I've learned.
Well, you can't see the pain unless they want you to.
Right. And you don't see what harm you do to them with your own relationship.
Right.
Because you see things differently, and they're from the outside looking in, and it's really tough.
A lot of times, kids and even some people are like chameleons. They can hide, and a drug can mask certain things, but as time progresses, it starts to manifest itself, and you start to see it. Right. So when kids, especially, they can hide it because sometimes parents don't see it. They're not connected. There's a difference with being relational with your kid but also connecting with your kid is a big difference. You can have a relationship, but are you connected? What do you know? I mean, beside just, hey, how you doing? And Cary, you said that again. Everybody's on their phone, but nobody sits down and talks.
Right.
So now it's imperative that you talk with your kids, that you see what's going on, and look in their eyes. And certain things will elicit a certain response when you really look at them, not talk, just standing, just staring, really looking at them when you say things to them.
And be present.
Yes.
When you're there. A lot of times we're there, we're talking, but we're not present.
That's right.
We're talking, but
Yeah.
we're doing this
Yeah.
kind of thing or that kind of thing. If you're going to talk to somebody, be there, talk to them. And remember this, not just kids, but kids in general ask for help in a lot of different ways.
Sure do.
They don't know what the feelings are, so what do? Instead of saying, hey, dude, help me, they act out.
Yes.
They write dark poetry.
Yes.
They cut on themselves. They ditch school. They talk. They get violent.
Yes.
They drink too much. They use too many drugs. Those are cries for help. That's what that is. So we have to pay attention to the behaviors and the actions versus the words.
There was the last thing, and I'm going to let Brandon go on. There was a thing that a gangster told me this. When I was working in the street. He said, this whole gang thing, the whole perspective is destruction. Mm-hmm. So you take that. This whole drug thing, the perspective is destruction. Destruction. You can come back, but if you don't, it's destruction and death.
Yeah. So you wrote this letter. Your
Yeah.
dad found it. Go from there.
Dang, I mean, I didn't even know he had it until we did that interview with the reporter.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know he had it. 'Cause I hadn't seen this in years.
I guess it's important to him. That's for sure.
Yeah, this was just something I got high and wrote. This wasn't that big of a deal to me.
Looks like a pretty big deal to me. So you ended up in a behavioral health
so-
unit.
I was an IOP. I told the counselor one night after group, I need help. I don't feel like I'm gonna go home and be safe. So she called my dad. He drove me to the the ER.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went to the ER, and they were just asking me a bunch of questions. Had I tried it before? I was like, yeah. And so we were waiting there for, I don't even remember how long, but next thing I know, I'm in an ambulance on my way to somewhere. I don't even know where it was at, but
I do, but I won't tell you.
I'm on my way to a mental hospital, and I'm there for 3 days. And I didn't, it wasn't even bad. I had a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
They fed me, I got to sleep somewhere. It wasn't
I know your dad didn't feed you, made you sleep in the backyard. I
yeah,
get it.
no, exactly.
You were really asking for help, weren't you?
I think, yeah.
I think so.
We
So-
know so.
Yeah. So you went to the mental institution. You ended up in a rehab.
Yeah, I ended up at a rehab.
Back
for,
in IOP.
Yeah. I ended up at a rehab in Tarzana.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really good time there.
I'm glad you had fun.
I had fun,
It's like
man.
Disneyland. Huh?
Yeah.
Check them out.
When you say you had fun, when you say you had fun, I know we're being funny, but what were some of the steps and what were the things that were brought about while you were in Tarzana Treatment Center? What were they focusing on with you?
We talked a lot about God in there, and NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just some stuff I had all heard before, but I didn't really sit down and listen. I didn't have anything to do after except go to my room. So I kind of had to pay attention. I had to listen to what they were saying.
And it's not a lecture or your dad.
No,
or it's real stuff.
Yeah, they were telling me real stuff that happened. One of the
Right.
counselors told me his whole story, which was insane.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had to sit down and listen because there was nothing else to do.
Right.
But yeah,
When was that? How long ago?
shit,
2020.
that long ago? 2-3 years ago?
How much time sober do you have?
I have 2 years and 4 months.
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that great?
2 years and 4 months.
That's
How old
great.
are you?
I'm 19.
So how does somebody 19 years old get 2 years and 4 months? people don't understand. Kids can get. I want to say right now, teenagers can recover. They can get sober.
Yeah.
We got proof. And you know, I'm going to speak for me, and Dad could speak for you, and Robbie could speak for Robbie, but I'm super proud of you.
I appreciate
I've been
it.
watching you for 4 years
Yes.
and watch you get your two. I've watched all of it, and I am super proud of you. It takes a real man to do what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. I mean that. It takes a real man with real guts and a lot of drive to be able to handle that. I know your dad's real proud of you.
I am. I'm super proud.
So,
I'm proud of you too, and as I tell guys that I train boxing and karate, I train them. You need to get your mind right. You need to get your focus right. You need to get your life right. So, and then sometimes, they look at me, or like when I'm teaching, and then I explain. When you get your mind right, you start focusing on things that are going to enhance your life. You get your focus, you get into something that's going to keep your attention where there is progression and growth. That's what you do, and that's what you did. You got your mind right, you got your focus right. Now you're getting your life right, and it's a progression. Anything that's worthwhile having, it's a progression. You just don't get it. It's like a girl. If you want a really pretty girlfriend that's got about something, you got to develop a relationship. It's a progression. If you want to be a good boxer in life or in any, it's a progression. And that's what Cary's talking about. And what's happening now, you're 19, am I correct?
Yeah.
You're 19, so you've made the
with
progression.
2 years and 4 months clean and sober.
Sober, yeah. So you're making that progression. And so you start seeing yourself winning, seeing yourself with a good job, seeing yourself finishing school, seeing yourself now talking to others and bringing them up from the depths.
Which he does now at Action on Tuesday nights. He's steering committee, which means he's kind of like a junior counselor, and he helps a lot of kids. Kids working with kids is pretty powerful, and we have some great, strong, powerful kids there, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
A lot of them lately.
Yeah, I'm the best one though.
Well,
Nothing wrong with saying that.
yeah, nothing wrong with saying that at all. So 2 years and 4 months. How does that feel? First of all, wasn't easy getting it, was it?
Nah. I mean,
What was the big hurdle? What was the big hurdle for you? What was the major hurdle that you have overcome now that you're at this position?
probably just getting out of my own way and like being able to like take what other people tell me and not meet it with like you're wrong, you're tripping. Like it's more like just being able to like sit there and listen to people like and understand that they have something to tell me.
Does some of your old friends think that it's kind of crazy you're sober?
No,
No?
no,
Really?
no. They'll think it's freaking awesome. Honestly,
Isn't that cool?
like, cause like a lot of people I know like want to, but like they just don't.
I think in today's society, I think that's stands pretty firm. A lot of people know that they need to get sober now or clean.
Yeah,
They just don't know how, or they're afraid to try.
yeah.
So, what's your message to those people?
Find like a place where you can talk openly with people.
Yeah.
Like that was probably like the biggest thing for me. Like for me, it was action.
So you got a 14-year-old kid. He's going to his friend's house this weekend. They're gonna have a slumber party. His friend says, "My dad's got a bunch of weed in the bedroom. I'm gonna get it, and we can also steal some alcohol." What's your suggestion to them?
Fuck.
Language.
Honestly, it's like I knew I had a problem. Like I don't know who has a problem. I don't suggest you do anything, but if you're going to and it doesn't work out so well, I suggest you get help.
So your first suggestion is don't do it.
Yeah,
It's a one-way ticket to where?
probably like where I ended up.
Yeah, it's not that easy out there, especially with these drugs today. How about Arturo? You're a dad, and you think your kid's having problems out there. What's your suggestion to parents?
Look for help. There's a lot of people that are understanding. At the beginning, you never want to share your story with your friends, but at some point, you need that outlet too. And your friends are always your good friends are gonna be there, and they're gonna listen.
And they're not going to
understand.
judge you.
And there is no judgment.
Right. You know that 1 out of every 6 Americans will have a drug or alcohol problem in their lifetime? 1 out of every 6. It affects every family in our country right now. Somehow, some way, it affects them. So when I was talking to a mom actually today, telling her about tomorrow's group, and she said, "What if I know somebody there? What if somebody recognizes me?" I said, "Then they're there for the same reason.
Yeah.
We have something in common." So nothing to be afraid of. On that note, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Action Drug Hour here on AM 1220 and 98.1 FM KHTS, our hometown station. And you guys are awesome, man. I can't tell you how proud I am of you and of you, Arturo. Do you know why I'm saying that?
No, why?
Because you didn't back off. You took a stand against everything bad in this life that this kid was going through. You did everything you could to keep him away from bad, out of the darkness, and put him in the light.
Right, and we forget that we want to be, hard on our kids sometimes, but sometimes it's
Right.
it's what's best for them. It's not about me. That's just get him through this and then see where we're at the other end. And now, like, me and him have a connection.
Yeah.
We don't have,
Like he says, you're connected now.
We're connected. I can tell when he's not
Right.
feeling so well, when he's down, and we can have that conversation.
Very cool. How's that feel?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you love your daddy?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Is he a good guy?
Sometimes, yeah.
Is he? You love him lots?
Yeah,
Why don't
yeah.
you tell him?
I love you, Pops.
I love you too, kiddo.
Where's that big old hug, man? Come on, dude. I want to
two
see.
hands.
I want to see. I want to see
Two
some
arms
real
like,
love.
JC's head.
Exactly.
Like a hug.
Exactly. See, that's Robbie. That's called connection, isn't it?
Connection.
That's what I want to see.
That's what we're talking about. You can relate, but you need a connection. Big difference. A connection means no matter what, love unconditional. Unconditional. When you mess up, I'm still your dad. I'm still there. I might be a little upset with you, but after it's all over with, I'm still there. And that's what Arturo did, and that's why his son. That's why Brandon is like, okay, I'm moving forward. I'm getting the help. And so now you see the relationship, and this is what we tell the parents. You're not their friend. You're mother and father. They become your friend when they get their own kids and out of the house. Then you can become friends.
Yeah, exactly.
But not now. I'm here to
And by the way,
provide for you.
parents and kids aren't equal.
That's
They're
the
always going to
truth.
be our parents.
That's right.
No matter what. And we got to respect them for that. And I hate to say it in these days because I know a lot of kids that don't respect parents much, and that's because as parents, we need to earn their respect too.
That's right.
We need to be to our child what we want our kid to grow up and be.
That's right.
We need to be the role model that we want our kid to become. Isn't that true?
And the last thing I'll say, and don't let them call you by your first name. A lot of parents I know do that. It's not like I don't call my mother by her first name. I call her mom. I don't call her by first name. That in itself saying, well, I'm equal to you. No, you are not.
No. And you don't help kids working with kids. I hate to say it. You help kids empowering families. And I'm complimenting you again for your consistency. I mean, you show up every week. There's been only a few weeks in 4 years you're not there.
Yeah, I try to get there, unless I'm working.
Yeah,
But
you also help us with a Spanish-speaking group now.
yes,
Which
but we have a
appreciate.
new person taking over that.
Yes, we do. Well, helping out. She's awesome.
She is
isn't she?
awesome. She does an amazing job. But what's good is that you see a little bit more people coming back
Oh,
after
yeah.
the first time.
We surely
is
do.
great.
We're averaging 30, 40 parents and 50,
Yes.
60 kids now every
Yeah.
week. So it's good to see so many people coming consistently now.
Yes.
So there's a lot of recovery in that Tuesday night group. And if anybody's interested, it's our nonprofit group. It's called Action, a parent-teen support program. It's free to anyone in the community. There's a teen group ran by trained counselors and a parent group that I run. And it's every Tuesday at Sierra Vista at 7 p.m. and it's open to everybody. Every once in a while, Robbie pops up and shows up.
And I will start popping up a little more.
That was a guilt trip. I
I'm so
just
busy.
manipulated
manipulated me in
you.
there. You manipulated me. I'm out there in them streets. I'm going to leave Cary with a thing. I'm not going to read it, but it's called 12 Rules for Raising Delinquent Kids. I'm going to give it to Cary. And the parents, I'm going to ask that he make some copies and give it to a lot of the parents. And I think it will help you understand what we're dealing with.
Yeah. So, hey, I want to thank you for listening to the show. I want to thank Brandon and Arturo for coming, and, of course, Robbie for helping me run the show today. But you guys are awesome, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
You're,
for having
you
us.
are a success story.
Yeah, you are.
And that's why I want people to see, man, this is a success. I mean, and it wasn't easy,
No.
but you're doing it, and you did it, and you continue to do it. And I'm proud of both of you. And I want to tell you I love you. But you know that already.
Oh, yeah.
You know that.
That's it.
Pops,
Thank you.
Robbie,
We're back on the street again.
we're back doing it again, huh?
Here fighting.
That's it. Hey, this has been the Action Drug Hour. I'm Cary Quashin. My co-host today was Robbie Robinson, intervention specialist with the Sheriff's Department. And we had Arturo and Brandon with us. Thanks for listening.